This is the Sony A7RV, which is the latest camera to come out from Sony in the Alpha line. Now, this camera has some game-changing features in it, which you should be paying attention to even if you're not going to be buying it. Hello, you beautiful humans, it is Gemlang here, and welcome to another video. Now, if you are new here, a very warm welcome. Thank you for joining. Now, I do cover lots of content here about photography and video, so do feel free to hit the subscribe button below and you can join this little growing YouTube community here on my channel. Now, just letting you know that all the photos in this video have all been edited with my latest preset pack, which I've spent 5 years tweaking and fine-tuning. You can download that preset pack in the link in the description below. Now, I've been using this camera for a few weeks now, and I've got to say it has been a joy to use. Well, actually, it's been a joy to use for photography. Video, on the other hand, that is another matter, and I'm going to come back to that later in the video. But first up, why don't we quickly go over the specs of this camera. Now, it's got a 61 megapixel image sensor, which is the exact same one from the previous model, the Sony A7RV, which is actually perfectly fine because it is a great image sensor which takes fantastic photos. It does 10 frames a second at compressed RAW, which, look, it's no sports camera. If you are after a sports camera, the Sony A1 is the one to go for, but 10 frames a second is still very usable and you can still use it in lots of different situations. This camera also does 8K 24 and 25 frames a second and 4K 50 and 60 frames a second, but we're going to come back to that. It's also got the same body as the Sony A7 IV, which is amazing because that body is a great camera and it is really good ergonomics and great button layout, and they've done the exact same here with the Sony A7RV, squeezed in all the high specs into that same body. It's also got an updated menu system similar to what's in the FX3 and the FX30, where it's got the My Menu, so you don't need to go digging through for those quick change of settings where they're all there on that 1 or 2 pages at the top of the menu system. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this camera has been an absolute joy to use. You know that feeling that you get in your chest when you take an amazing photo, when you look at it through the viewfinder after you've taken it and you're like, yeah, I took that photo. Or when you're editing it in Lightroom and you're just like, wow, this is a really good shot. Look, I had that a lot with this camera, so it has been an absolute joy to use for photography. But for the video, on the other hand, look, I've got to say, the 8K footage in it, it's a bit of a gimmick. I wouldn't really be using it. It's only 10-bit 420, so it doesn't have the full color depth. I found that it took more work to match it to the FX3 and the A7 IV. Plus, it's got really bad rolling shutter and it's also cropped at 1.24, and that is the same for the 4K 50 and 60 frames a second. If you are picking up this camera for video, this camera is not for you. But if you are getting it for photography, yes, this camera is incredible. Now, there are 5 features of this camera that I haven't even touched on yet that I'm very excited about because it is a glimpse into the future of what we can expect from future models to come out from Sony. And the very first thing is the AI autofocus. What they've done is they've offloaded the autofocus from the Bion's XR processor to have its own chip now in the camera, which gives it higher capability and even faster autofocus, which they're calling AI autofocus. You can actually see the improved autofocus with this, especially when it comes to portraits. Rather than just looking for the face or the eye, if they are obscured, it can actually look for the human body in the frame. It also now does car, train, and airplane modes, plus it also does insect autofocus, and I was actually blown away from this. I was shooting down at the Japanese gardens, shooting around the pond. There were dragonflies flying all over the place, and it locked on to the dragonfly. I just couldn't believe how tack sharp these images were. Just seeing the green autofocus square fly across the frame as I was taking the photos, I was just, wow, it was incredible. And then seeing them when I was editing them in Lightroom, yeah, I was really impressed. The second feature is the articulating screen on the Sony A7RV. Rather than it just being tilt, it now flips as well. And I was actually expecting this to be a bit flimsy, but it is actually really sturdy and really well built. You're either on the camp of tilt or flip. no matter where you sit now, then this is a feature that we should see in future models from Sony. It is actually really well implemented, and yeah, I'm actually really impressed by it. The third feature is the viewfinder. They've increased the resolution to 9.44 million dots, which according to Sony is the highest resolution viewfinder on the market. And I've got to say, it is very noticeable. You can see the high resolution on it. This is a feature I really hope does come to future Sony models, including the Sony A7RV. The fourth feature is focus stacking. Now, this is an option that is not going to be for everyone, but it is really good for landscape and for product photography. Now, you can do this on any camera, you can do it manually, but having it as an option in the camera inbuilt definitely is a game changer because it makes it so much easier to get amazing shots when you're doing focus stacking. All you need to do is go into the drive mode, select focus bracketing, select how many images you want it to take, and then depending on whether you're wide or narrow with your focal distance. Now, the other cool thing is that you set a limit as to how many images you want it to take, and the camera will actually work out how many it needs to take. So for example, if you set it to 100, but the camera only needs 50, it will stop at 50. Now, the fifth game-changing feature of the Sony A7RV is the improved inbuilt stabilization. They've increased it from 5.5 stops all the way to 8 stops, and you can actually see the difference. It means that you can push yourself creatively now, so you don't need to necessarily stick to your 2x rule of your double focal distance for your shutter speed for sharp images. It is also very good with video. You can actually see in this shot that this is handheld and it's pretty much on par with the gimbal or even being on a tripod. This is very usable, not that you're going to be using this camera for video. Now, with those 5 game-changing features of the Sony A7RV, it is definitely worth paying attention to this camera, even if you're going to pick one up or not. Now, for me personally, yeah, I'm gonna stick with my Sony A7 IV, which is still a fantastic photography video hybrid camera. If I was going to be doing large format printing, then yeah, I would consider getting the A7RV. Look, it has been hands down the best photography camera I've ever used, but I'm still very happy with the A7 IV. But what I am most excited about is that AI autofocus, that viewfinder, and that articulating screen. So hopefully we'll see them in the Sony A7V, maybe the A7S IV, or maybe even the next version of the FX3. Who knows? Hey, if you have enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing and hitting the like button. My name is Jem Lang, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.